In this video, we're going to look at solving rational equations. So we'll solve these two examples here. Let's look at the first one. First thing we need to do is to get the lowest common denominator, but before we do that, look for any factorization that you can do, and that will factor. Two numbers that multiply together to give you positive 3 but add up together to give you negative 4 would be negative 3 and negative 1. And so we can factor that. Now, look to see what is allowed. We're not allowed to have x equal 1. That'll make that denominator 0. We're not allowed to have x equals 3. Same thing there. So my domain is x is not allowed to be 1 or 3. So we have to omit those from any solutions that we come up with. If 1 or 3 are part of the solutions, we can't include them. Now my lowest common denominator we can see is going to be x minus 1 times x minus 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply every term by x minus 1 times x minus 3. So I'll multiply this one by x minus 1 times x minus 3. I'll multiply this one, x minus 1 times x minus 3, and I'll multiply this one, x minus 1 times x minus 3. So with cancellation, that's going to cancel, that's going to cancel, and that's going to cancel. So I'm going to be left with 2x times all of x minus 3. Make sure you put parentheses around it. If you do not, it will be wrong. Here after cancellation, I'm just going to have 1 times x minus 1. And after cancellation, I'm going to have 2. So this is going to give me 2x squared minus 6x plus x minus 1 equals 2. And so I've got 2x squared. And if I put my x terms together, I have minus 5x there. And then if I subtract 2 from both sides, I'll have minus 3 is equal to 0. Now I can try and factor that, or I can use quadratic formula. It's not too bad. I mean, I know I'm going to have 2x and 1x, and then these numbers have to multiply together to give me negative 3, but then I've got to check it. I could have that. Will that work? I'll get 2x minus 3x, so that'll give me negative x. That does not equal to negative 5x, so that combination won't work. How about negative 1 and positive 3? I'll have 2x squared, then I'll have 6x minus x, which will give me positive 5x, and that's not what that one is. Oh, I'm getting really close. I think I just need to swap the signs there. Let's see if that one works. I'll have minus 6x plus x, so I'll have a negative 5x, and yeah, that does work. Or I could have used quadratic formula to find out the solutions to this. These numbers weren't so bad I didn't have to go looking for too long. Now, when it's like this, one solution is x is equal to 3, and another solution is, well, if 2x plus 1 equals 0, that makes the whole thing 0. So subtract 1 from both sides and divide both sides by 2. And so if x is equal to negative 1/2, that'll make this 0. Now, you want to get to a point where you can just look at that and say if x is negative 1/2, that makes it 0. Now, before you put that as your solution, go back and check and see what's allowed, and you're not allowed to have x equal 3. So this is an extraneous solution. It's a solution to this equation, but for the original equation, it's not in the domain. So you've got to leave extraneous solutions out. There's only one solution, x is equal to negative 1/2. And be very careful, because on a final exam, multiple choice, they could have both of those being the solution. And if you forget to check your domain, you'll miss it. Let's have a look at this. Okay, again, look to see where you can factor. Nothing. They have an x term in common, so it can be factored out. And now we can see what's allowed, what's the domain. X is not allowed to be 0. X is not allowed to be -2. Same thing there. So you have to exclude those from any solutions. Now when it's like this, we can see that the lowest common denominator is x times x plus 2, and so every term needs to be multiplied by x times x plus 2. Okay, now with cancellation, here I'm going to have x minus 3 times x plus 2, and I'll need to multiply that through. Here, after cancellation, I'm going to have 3x. After cancellation here, I'm going to have 6. So multiplying this out, expanding that, I'm going to have x squared plus 2x minus 3x. Then minus 6. Okay, those will cancel. And so I'm going to have x squared plus 2x equals 0. And I look for factoring. I can factor out an x. And to make this true, x can equal 0 or x can equal -2. But stop before you go any further and give your answer. Check to see if it's allowed. And looky here, back at the domain. X is not allowed to be 0, so that's an extraneous solution. And also x is not allowed to be -2. Both of these answers that I came up with were not allowed. They were extraneous solutions. There is no solution to this problem. Sometimes they'll write it as the solution is the empty set. So the solution set is empty. And so that ends this video.